Hello and welcome to this week's GG Weekend Watch, kindly sponsored by SBK, with your usual team of Daryl Carter, Andrew Mount and myself to guide you through what is a lesser weekend of racing, at least anyway, so we can all finally take a breath, because we've covered about 17,000 races on the last few weeks' shows, rather than we only have the 7, and it's full Cheltenham as well. Every race covered from the Saturday at the November meeting at Cheltenham. I'm wearing my Cheltenham merch. I haven't quite gone with Andrew Mount's usual tweed, but at least I am still representing anyway for Cheltenham. But plenty of fascinating contests to dive into. We have plenty of betting heats, some lesser betting heats as well, but nonetheless, there's still plenty of interest about each of the races that we're going to be covering. So can't wait to get started on this. Luckily, I'm going to be there on Saturday. I cannot wait for it. And of course, we also have tomorrow, Friday and Sunday's action as well to look forward to. In terms of the weather at Cheltenham, it looks as though we have a fairly dry forecast. Tomorrow morning, as in Friday morning, we have 0.2, 0.9 and 0.3 mil predicted. And then Saturday, thank goodness for any of us that are going to be there, it looks a pretty dry forecast. So the ground at the current time of recording, good to soft, good in places. Hopefully, therefore, there will be no excuses for any runners, provided you don't have a horse that likes it one extreme or the other. But as we like to say, good, no excuses ground all round, which is what we like and what we're not really accustomed to at Cheltenham either. So the guys are going to guide us through all 7 races, as well as any other races from any other meetings or any of the Sunday action as well that they wish to send us to for any tips. Now, Daryl, we have to take this moment for you to give us a bow there or a curtsy, whichever you prefer, because you had a phenomenal week last week on the show. We shall go through, this is the length of page that I need to go through these winners. Wonderful World, 5-2. Kashari, 80-1 winner. Kings Lynn 4-1, Farnham 9-2, So Royal 4-5, and Space Blues 2-1. Absolutely phenomenal. We expect the same again. No pressure, but you've made this pedestal for yourself now, so you need to keep on delivering for us. But cracking work there. So yes, we're going to transfer that hopefully to Cheltenham. So we're going to.
Okay, you forgot to mention my win. Oh, sugar. But Daryl, just a couple of complaints. I'd like to make a complaint, please. Daryl, why didn't you nap Kashari? Why didn't you tip it your column as a 5-point win, please?
Exactly. Exactly. Room for improvement there, please.
It's unbelievable the amount of stick I got for it, I tell you. But look, I said on the podcast every week, if I'm backing it, I'll say I'm backing them. You know, last week I told you I was backing them both. They're not on the column. I can't rewrite everything I say on this program. God, the column would be longer than bloody my arm.
Were you going to say something else then?
Yeah, I'm waiting. I was waiting on the final word. Thank goodness we went with arm. No more questions, Your Honour. Right, but as you say, very, very well done. And all who tuned into this podcast, well, they were richly rewarded anyway. So no complaints there, or no feasible ones anyway. So we're going to kick off straight away with the first race at Cheltenham on Saturday. This is the 1250. This is the Triumph Trial Juvenile Hurdle, which is a grade 2 contest over 2 miles for 3-year-olds. And we seem to have pretty much every smart juvenile that we've seen from this season set to contest this race. I mean, the only omission I can really see is Impulsive One from the Nicky Henderson yard and Porticello from the Gary Moore yard. But apart from those two, we seem to have every other smart juvenile from this season so far. So this will be fascinating in figuring out the pecking order for the juveniles to really establish who is best at this stage of the season. But Daryl, for yourself, who do you think is the current best juvenile who is going to take this race?
Cool. I don't know. None of these. I don't think we've got an All Mankind in here or Deafy the Soul. Put it that way. I don't think this is strong at all. Magistrato, for example, has been given a rating of 131. Like at Chepstow, he was 21 lengths slower than the handicap on the card. Won by Masters Legacy. Obviously, that's his debut performance, and he can take a step forward. But I don't know where they've got 131 from. But the horse that beat him in France, you mentioned a minute ago, Porticello, ran at Wetherby in a very, very weak race. And he was 14 lengths slower than a novice on the card. He recorded an RPR of 109, and they gave him a rating of 134. I think that the rating is a knock-on effect from Porticello. I just think I think they're worthless ratings in juvenile races. I've got to be honest. I didn't like much in here at all. I thought Night Salute was partly interesting. I just like the way he travels through a race. the way he can quicken up and pull clear of rivals. I thought he was quite impressive at Kempton last time, albeit, again, that time figure is nothing to go shouting about, that's for sure. It was slower than Balco Saint on the card. But I do think his figure of around 126 is probably about right. I didn't think there was too much depth in behind. Rocky Man, I expect to get closer to Magistrato than he did at Chepstow. I thought Harry Scout in that day. I didn't think they were. I thought they were just sort of teaching him. So I expect an improved performance from him. Mr. Allegro is interesting for Anthony Honeyball, but he's only a 50 rated horse on the flat. Look, I'm not having a bet in here at all. It'd be interesting to see. It wouldn't surprise me if they finished in a bunch. Note salute just for the purposes of this video, but it will be a no bet race.
Yeah, so something we've established from the last few months is Daryl does not like the ratings of 2-year-olds or juveniles for thinking that they're accurate, which is probably a very fair comment to make. But as you say, night salute for the sake of this podcast, but otherwise it's a bit of a non-betting heat for yourself. Andrew, do you see it any differently?
Yeah, a tricky one, as Daryl says. The interesting angle, though, is just about last time out winners. I think the last 10 winners of this race have won on their most recent start. That narrows it down to 3, although that does include the fairly short price favourite Magistrato, so it's not usually helpful. Given the form of the Milton Harris yard, I was quite keen on Night Salute. I mean, you've also got the added complication of, will it be one of these Cheltenham meetings where the hurdles track's cut up on the inside, as it has been on this day for the last few years? And do you want to be coming late wide round the outside? Doesn't always mean the best horse wins in those conditions. Caramelised, I was interested in backing after his market raising third because he was on the inside, he was free and keen, and he was on the, finished third on the slowest part of the track. He was odds on, but now the hood's on for the first time. I thought he could take a step forward, but 6-1. I was expecting and hoping for bigger than that. I'll go Night Salute with the last time out winner angle, but it's not a race that I was particularly keen on, like Daryl.
Yeah, it is tricky, isn't it? And as I was saying when describing this race, it's sort of trying to establish the pecking order of the juveniles at the minute, whether or not you judge that to be a strong standard or not this season. I think this will be very telling for that angle anyway. But both of the lads there siding with Night Salute, but tentatively so. And as you say, it's interesting for Caramelised with this hood. And apparently he was sick after the market raise and run as well. So whether or not that was just an excuse or not remains to be seen as well. For him, enough questions to have to answer for plenty of these. So that's our opening race. We move on to the 105. Now, this is a wide open 0 to 140 handicap chase over 3 mile, one for amateur jockeys, where the current market leader is Strictlyadancer, but he's a 6 to 1 shot, which goes to tell you in itself how wide open this race is. So, Andrew, are you, I guess, looking at jockeys as much as the horses in this race?
I've gone through every single runner and I've crossed off most of them. And the size of the field, there's very few that I actually like here. That a lot of them, there's worries about their jumping. They prefer soft or heavy going. They're one of like 84 front runners in the race, and I know the last 2 winners have made all, but we get plenty of winners of this race who come from off the pace when they go too fast, get a bit of a pace collapse. And I kept coming back to Strictlyadancer, who won won one of these at the October meeting, here at Cheltenham. And quite impressive. He got up £5 for that. And the one he chased him home, Fact of the Matter, I didn't see why that one wouldn't run another good race again. He was 20 to 1 that day. He hasn't won for ages, December 2018. But, if you're looking for a couple for the place spot, or you want to have, £2 on a straight forecast, I won't mention the lottery this week, then why not back 2 horses to do exactly the same thing they did last time, which was finish 1-2 in a big field amateur riders handicap chase at the Cheltenham Festival. I mean, Strictlyadancer and Fact of the Matter, what were they, sort of 6s and 8s or 6s and 10s? And you're going to get sort of 50, 60 to 1 about that straight forecast. Bermeo was second in this race last year, having won the October equivalent, but he was pulled up on his stable debut last time out. He is a tricky customer, so it's difficult to know what to expect from him. 147, Twiston Davies does so well in these races generally, but all his wins have come in fields of 9 or fewer runners on easier tracks. He won last time out, but he's 0 from 5 following a win. That would concern me about him. And again, the rest of them are generally uninspiring. I mean, I thought Head to the Stars was a funny one. His last 6 runs, he's won twice and pulled up on 4 occasions. And I thought it might be a case of win or pull up again. You wouldn't want to put him in your play spot. But he wouldn't be the worst horse to have a silly 5 on. He'll love the strong pace. And my notes just say, win or pull up. So I'll go Strictlyadancer over Fact of the Matter, and just maybe play the forecast on that pair.
Yeah. In case you were thinking about playing the lottery, there you go. There's your other option then for Andrew there for Strictlyadancer.
Also, just one other quick mention. Sorry, another venture. Now with Nikki Henderson having previously been with Kim Bailey, it goes well fresh, and switches from the Kim Bailey yard when running over fences. 5 wins from 19 plus £26.83. Although 3 of those wins did come in under chases, but I just thought that one was half interesting as well. Another venture.
Yeah, so as you say, at a nice each way price there as well of 11-1 as well for another venture who is an interesting angle. So plenty of angles to go into there, but tricky race to assess. Daryl, can you make any more sense of this race?
Not really, not much more than he's just done. I was very similar to Andrew in fact, in the terms that I went through a lot of these runners, and there's just question marks over each and every one of them. I mean, opposites attract is the class acting here on the bare form, but my goodness me, that jumping last season was terrible. You couldn't trust him at all, especially on the downhill fence free from home at Cheltenham when they're starting to go at a clip. That's when he's going to make a mistake. I actually came down on Head to the Stars at a big price, and just thought that I'm not going to have a bet, but I just thought that if I was going to have a bet, I thought he would be one of the more interesting ones. His last run at Ludlow, or his last win, completed start at Ludlow, he actually beat Rocco, who has recently won the Badger Beers, and he's effectively £4 lower here. Look, it's very hard to make a case for a horse that seems to only love Ludlow, really. But the strong pace on offer in this race could just mean that he travels a bit sweeter through the race, as opposed to these smaller fields at these sharper courses. It was a very tentative selection, but Head to the Stars, 22-1 or something like that, if you're having a fiver in the race.
As you say, at least you're getting a bit of compensation for his form figures with that price of 22-1, because
but win only.
Yes, win only for sure.
You can tell Daryl won a fortune last week, because rather than have a throwaway £2, he's having a throwaway £5.
Oh yes, well noted.
Chucking them around like confetti.
With fivers, that is you've made it in life if you're shimmying out fivers there as we go. As you say, Daryl had a very good week last week, and it hasn't quite found the 80-1 winner there, but if Head to the Stars wins at 22-1, I'd say we'll put that in the same bracket anyway. So yeah, very tricky race. At least the next race on Cheltenham's card is easier to solve. Not quite the betting heat we were we probably weren't even anticipating, were we? Because we move on to the 140. It's just a bit of a non-event, really, in a novices chase, but what's new there? But nonetheless, it'll still be great to see Third Time Lucky out in this Grade 2 novices chase over 2 miles, after you couldn't fail to be impressed by how good he was on his chase debut last time out over this course and distance. He went around Cheltenham with his head in his chest, and you can visually see he would have... Sorry, my cat has decided to appear in this. Apologies for the disturbance. I thought I have to acknowledge it.
There'll be a few jokes about that flying around.
Exactly. We'll have to put a PG sticker over the top of this show now for that.
Keep it clean. Keep it clean.
Keep it clean. But yeah, you can visually see with Third Time Lucky, though, that he would probably have gone even better, though, if he was just allowed to go on half a stride. Such was the ease of the way he travelled through that race and his dominance over the rest of the field. So, and with the second horse, Buddy Rich, boosting the form in his next start, overturning Ballyadam, of course, at Navan. But he does have 3 rivals here. The next 2 in the betting, both having quick turnarounds from another non-event, really, and the Grade 2 Rising Stars Novices Chase at Wincanton, where there were only 3 runners. So Captain Tomcat will be hoping to uphold the form with Mick Pastor, and Sebastopol is also in here, but he hates winning. So, Daryl, do you have a betting angle into this race for us?
God, no. The only issue, I love Third Time Lucky, blew me away on his chase debut. Slight concern I've got with him, okay, is that when he approaches his fences, he takes off on his right 4. Now, if you go back and watch the race, you'll just notice. I did a video on Twitter about it before I was asked.
Yeah, that was brilliant, by the way. That was cracking. Yeah.
He just takes off on that right foot, and it can just force him out to the right. Now, that was just a little bit of a warning sign for me going forward. If that continues and he starts to lose ground out to his right, then I would start worrying about him for the future. In terms of this race, I think I think he's going to take the world of beating. I mean, Mick Pastor easily beat Sebastopol in his penultimate start. I thought last time at Exeter, Harry should have gone sooner. He sort of waited and sat behind Captain Tomcat and just didn't quite have the stamina and the turn of foot over that 2.5 miles. Coming back to 2 miles today for Mick Pastor is definitely a big positive. He's turned out quickly because he needs good ground and he's going to get very few opportunities this season. On the ratings, on official ratings, he's actually, level with third time Lucki, getting the £3 off him. He's very interesting, Mick Pastor. I would like to see what the price would be without third time Lucki. I mean, it'd probably be a shade of odds on, I would expect, but listen, third time Lucki really ought to be winning this if he's got any aspirations of being a Grade 1 horse. He really has, and he's got to do it quite impressively again, I feel. But like you said, he gained so much ground at his fences the last day. They weren't going quick enough for him. Whether they'll go quick enough for him again, I don't know. I expect if Mr. Captain Tomcat is going slow, I expect him just to take it up again. But for me, I love him. Third time Lucki should be winning this, surely.
Yeah, and you make a really interesting point there. I thought that video was brilliant when analysing the way he approaches his races, and perhaps in a bigger runner field with a stronger pace, and that might catch him out. But as you say, we may not get the opportunity to find that out here, but also something to worth bearing in mind watching him visually this time around as well. So yeah, very interesting. Andrew, yourself, please, for this race.
Yeah, first glance, when I just looked at the runners, I thought, third time Lucki wins, move on. And then you think, well, hang on a minute, cast your mind back to this meeting last year when Harry Skelton gave For Pleasure a hell of a lot of rope. And he was, I know that was over hurdles, and he was chinned at even money, I think, never got into the race. So there's always the chance that something like that can go wrong. And, you're 2 to 1 on. I'm quite happy to leave him alone at that sort of price. I thought Mick Pastor would reverse for Wincanton form with Captain Tomcat. Both of them went out to their left a bit there, and but Mick Pastor coming back in trip will be happier, I think, than was it 2.5 over there at Wincanton last time out. So I'll just make Mick Pastor the token. If I had a fiver, I'd say token fiver, but I'll say 50p selection there. It's that sort of race.
It is, exactly. We're not quite up to Daryl's standards here just yet. But yeah, and certainly look out the betting without market when that opens up as well, if you can sort of get any even money potentially then about Mick Pastor.
I mean, to be honest, maybe do a place pot, stick them all in and hope for a miracle. I mean, Sebastopol probably just needs a big field, strong pace scenario. He's the kind of horse that could rock up here for the Grand Annual next spring and run an absolute belting race, because he races keenly when they go steady in these kind of races. But
I spoke to Tom Lacey after his run at Exeter, and I think they quite fancied him that day in that 2-runner race. I don't know if it's Chase Avery, but they just, to be honest, the feeling I got was they just fed up. Yeah, it just kind of felt like this horse has got some ability and he's just not showing it. So he could improve throughout the season.
Yeah, that's it. He is so frustrating. I think the first time I really noticed when Havana Hermano beat him at Utopster, and I thought he had every chance then. And from then on, I've just left him to the side. And he, like I say, has so much ability, but goodness me, he hates winning. So yeah, he is a very tricky horse to weigh up exactly what you can do with him. And yeah, I'll have to see something before I ever side with him there. But as you say, I mean, something like a Grand Annual, he could be the new Sky Pirate for all we know later on in the season. Flip this back, and then we could go back and see it and say, well, at least we got there first. But no, so we're going to move on to the next race. This is certainly a better betting heat in one of the most competitive handicaps of the season. This is the 215. It's the Grade 3 Paddy Power Gold Cup handicap chase for 4-year-olds and over 2 mile 4, where Protectorate heads the market currently. Looks very well treated if that wind operation continues to get him back to the horse he promised to be before the wheels came off a bit last season for him, with another fascinating runner in Layla, who was second in the betting as he makes his first start for Paul Nicholls. And it remains to be seen if the wind operation he was given before joining the champion trainer has really had a positive effect on getting his career back on track. But Andrew, lots and lots of interesting angles in here. Who are you backing to win?
Yeah, this is incredibly tricky, as you suggested. I mean, Protectorate's been well supported, about 5 to 1 now, I think, for the Skeltons. He does lack big field form, though, particularly over fences. Laylaw, the Jungle Drums have been beating for this one for some time, since the horse joined Paul Nicholls from the Woolacott Yard, and there's been so many rumours about how well this one's working and what's expected of him. But he has also got Simply the Bets, and another stable switcher who we haven't seen since finishing sixth to Cool Cody in this race last year. Was a 7-1 shot that day, and is £3 lower. First run for the yard, had a wind up, Bryony Frost on board. We know how that one's going to be written then. So I thought Simply the Bets could go well despite the big weight. Zanza, I was interested after his comeback run at Exeter, but I think he's a Newbury horse, so he does seem to be much better on sort of flat galloping tracks. Galahad Quest, he caught the eye at a massive drift of Nick Williams' yard, went third in that listed chase at Wetherby on his comeback, and only got beaten a couple of lengths. So I thought it was that will put him spot on, where if he goes next time out, I'll be interested. So I wouldn't rule out the Nick Williams runner. There's a yard that's been in good form as well. And Dostal Phil, there's a trick doubt about him, but he goes incredibly well when fresh, and I thought there was plenty more to come from him. Manofthemountain, who seems to have improved since coming back to sort of trips of around 2.5 miles. That one will appreciate the strong pace as well. And Fairnet, the ground, also Faraday. For the initial of Fairnet.
There you go.
That's my dyslexia coming into play. But yeah, I thought the ground would probably be too quick for that one, but that's certainly one that I want to keep on side this season. So there's so many good horses. And Aldancer, another stable switcher. I mean, Aldancer's got a great record first time out. I think it's 3 wins and a half length second on his racecourse debut. Gone from Twiston Davis to Sam Thomas. Sometimes not got the best strike rate with stable switches at the first time of asking, particularly those owned by Di Waters, and he's sort of gone from 5s out to 8s. So on the one hand, you think he's goes so well fresh, he's got the back class to win this. On the other hand, you think, well, the market says maybe next time. So it's stupidly tricky, as you've already attested to. I'm gonna go Simply the Bets. Hopefully Bryony can do a Froden on this one, and 16-1 or thereabouts, but it's stupidly tricky, and I'm not sure I'm even going to have a bet in the race at this stage.
Yeah, no, completely understandable there. Simply the Bets as well. Another Paul Nicholls runner that's had a wind operation over the summer, such as Layla. So I'd say if you spent more than 2 hours in Ditchy, you'd also come out with a wind operation on the back of a summer. It's just everything. Everything has had one, as we know Paul Nicholls likes to do with his horses. So yeah, it's going to be interesting with Simply the Bets. And as you say, probably almost definitely be ridden forwards on the front end there, potentially get into a rhythm. Daryl, solve this for us, please.
Right, I've got 3 bets in here, but
wonderful.
One's just a cover bet. Look, the other two are the two I'm back, and the other two will be the ones that will go on the column. Okay, so the main selection is Zanza for this. If you forget the debut, he was second to All Mankind at Warwick, right, ahead of Stolen Silver, who heads the market tomorrow on Friday for that handicap of 140, where he just shaped in that race like he wanted 2.5 miles. He was held up at the rear of the field. All Mankind actually didn't go that hard that day, and he just stuck to the task, passed all these beaten horses, and staying on strongly at the finish. He then goes and bolts up at Newbury off 138 on handicap debut. And then last year at the international meeting, this horse was travelling so strongly on the bridle, and then he came down. Now, it's open to debate whether or not he would have won or not, but I definitely think he would have been mixing it in the first 3. He would have been there or thereabouts. Okay, the winner was Sky Pirate, who's £25 higher in the handicap. The second was Ibelio, who is £18 higher in the handicap. And Zanza is £1 lower here. He goes to the Grand Annual next time, right? And he pulled up. But if you watch the race, a faller fell right in front of him. He had absolutely no chance of avoiding it. There was nothing he could do. He was pulled up immediately. He then goes to Aintree, and he was a bit off and on the bridle. He had no room for much of the race, held up at the rear of the field when it really paid to be on the pace, edited to keep one. And he was staying on. Yeah, that was over 2 miles. He was staying on at the finish, coming from the rear of the field along with Dostal Phil, who is the cover bet. And then a horse fell right in front of him again, and then he took him straight off his feet. Now, that was over 2 miles. I definitely think he wants to step up and trip. He was running the Howden Gold Cup last time. Yep.
Daryl, sorry to interrupt. Just playing devil's advocate. Do you think he needs a small field, given his tendency to find trouble in big fields?
That is my slight concern, that he might need a small field. But I also think he wants a really good pace.
He's a win bet then. He'll kind of like have a disaster or win it.
Yeah, I totally honestly think that. He's running the Howden Gold Cup last time. They were coming across, I was right at the finish line. They were coming across the line, Hitman and Eldorado Allen. They were out on their feet. This horse was finishing strongly at the line. I just think he's got a massive chance off a mark of 144 today, or whatever he is. Yeah, 144. 4 of the last 10 were won by a 7-year-old. So I just think he's got massive claims here. I wouldn't want to be with any of those at the top of the market, these White Sky horses, Laylaw. I don't see where that horse is well handicapped off a mark of 149. I really don't. I know this has been the target, but so what? Protectorat for me, I think the form with Zanza in the Howden Gold Cup ties in with Protectorat's win at Aintree last time through Hitman, where Hitman just did far too much too soon on the front end. Protectorat just sat off the pace and just picked them up when they were knackered in the closing stages. I don't think Protectorat's much better than 154 at the moment. Couldn't have our dancer. Midnight Shadow, again, another wise guy's horse. This horse has been doing the same thing for the last 2 seasons. Doesn't really take that step forward. I think Santa's got a big chance. Like I said, I'm going to cover on Dostil Phil around 20 to 1. Aidan Coleman has been booked by Philip Hobbs. They're 2 for 4, 50%. And he's got an immaculate record. Oh, he's got an excellent record fresh. 1, 4, 2, 2, 1, pulled up 1. I think he'll enjoy this step up and trip at strong pace. He was the one, along with Zanza at Aintree, the only 2 to come from off the pace behind Edit to the Geek that day. Right, now the last one is a 40 to 1 shot.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, this is Deyrann de Carjac for Alan King. Yeah, this is the trainer's first runner since Anacotti in 2015 in this race. Now, according to all reports, he had loads of problems last season, but apparently that's all sorted now. You've only got to forgive a couple of runs anyway. He goes really well fresh. On his return in 2019, he hacked up. He beat Pim, giving him £5. Pim's rated 140. The 4th from that race won the Badger Beers that year. It was rated £23 higher. He was in receipt of £8. On his best form, a mark of 137 really does underestimate him. He has been rated as high as 146, and he was really eye-catching in the Dipper Chase 18 or so months ago when that race that Champ fell in and Midnight Shadow won. Paint the Dream was second. Well, he was only beaten 2 lengths off level weights that day. Midnight Shadow's in here off 147. So he's £10 better off with him. He's £22 better off with Paint the Dream. And he gets good ground, what the trainer so-called says he desperately needs. You've only got to forgive the 3 runs because one of those he was lame at Cheltenham last year in the plate. And deep ground really at Haydock wouldn't have suited him in a graduation chase won by Tommy Tucker at Haydock. I think he's a massive price at 40 to 1. I think if he's on song now, he's had a bit of a break. I think he could go well. So after all that, Zanza and Deyrann de Carjac are the 2.
Wonderful. I say so. Yeah, Deyrann de Carjac around 40 to 1. Zanza, and hope he doesn't meet too much trouble, 12 to 1. And the last one, apologies, was lost him.
Just Dostil Phil, but that's just a cover bet for my own sanity, really.
Yeah, that's a cover bet. As you say, he was considered such a smart, going to work up into be, he is a smart horse, but to be a properly smart horse then a few years ago. So, yeah, that'll be really likeable to see. And again,
another big fresh. It's that record fresh. Yeah.
Fresh and around 25 to 1. Good combination. So definitely a few confident mentions there. I've actually got 2 bets myself in this race, and we've sort of covered one of them. I am said wise guy for Midnight Shadow again here in the hope. I've got 2. The other one's a bigger price, but with Midnight Shadow, he has been really well back this week. As you say, he has been a bit of a talking horse, but I still think he's a fair enough price around 17 to 2 at the time of recording, because this lad has had a comeback run, which does seem to be important on the trends for this race, which should tee him up nicely for this race. That was in the Old Roan Chase at Aintree, finished 3rd behind All Mankind. Midnight Shadow, at one stage, looked the potential winner even. And I think he'll likely come forwards for the run. He's well treated here off of just a £1 higher mark. Season nicely weighted. And he's got a very good Cheltenham record, which he should be able to put to good use once more. So he was the first one. The second one I like, much bigger price, is the one actually that Andrew mentioned earlier on, around 25 to 1, Manofthemountain. He just looks overpriced for me here. I know it's hugely competitive and there's going to be a whole host of horses that look overpriced, but he certainly fills that for me, that bracket, because he's deliberately been targeted at this race. It looks like he was entered for the Grand Sefton. I thought he'd be brilliant over the national fences, but he didn't take up that engagement. Instead has come here. This too, he's also had a reappearance start, which was a very fair one, finishing 2nd at Chepstow. He's able to run off of the same mark here which again sees him very well weighted. And I'm hoping his prominent running style will see him to good effect, as can so often be the case in the Paddy Power Gold Cup. So at a bigger price, I thought that Manofthemountain looked a solid proposition. So they're my two bets in this race. I was finding it difficult to narrow it down to one, but at those prices, Manofthemountain potentially, but so many ways into that race, understandably so. So we will move on to another interesting betting heat in the 250 at Cheltenham. This is a listed handicap hurdle for 4-year-olds and over 3 miles, where Proskema currently heads the market as the 11-4 favourite at the time of recording, from the likeable, if not slightly quirky, yet admirable and consistent Dragon Bones, who is second in, but again, another race where we have a whole host of fascinating angles here. Who are you siding with, Daryl?
I'm actually siding with 2 in this race again. And the reason I'm siding with 2 is because I just haven't got many bets this weekend. And I just feel like I can get some of these races at Cheltenham down to a couple of horses. So I thought it would be worth siding with 2. The main selection in here, I mean back and both, but the main selection in here is Dragon Bones. Yeah. I think she well handicapped off a mark of 132 here. I think she's just got such a likeable attitude as well. I'm just trying to find where I've written about her. Yeah, she was good here on seasonal return. I thought she just looked like she needed the run last time behind Bardenstown Lad. I thought that was quite an eye-catching performance. She really travelled through the race really, really strongly. Ballymilsey's in front of this one in the market. I think Ballymilsey's really slow. So if you go back to Worcester last year, Dragon Bones cantered all over Ballymilsey, absolutely cantered all over him off level weights, and she's now in receipt of weight from him. I just think if you go back to our bumper run as well, again at Worcester in 2019, Lord Baddesley's rated 113. Lord Baddesley rated 130. Midnight Rivers in there rated 142. Benson was down the list rated 136. Papo Tango Charlie was down the field rated 128, 138 over fences. This horse proved last time she could handle the track. She'll get a good pace to aim at in here with the likes of Kansas City Chief. Going to make all the running I expect. I think there's a good bit more to come from Dragon Bones, that's for sure. Charlie Todd takes off £3 as well to make it even more appealing, effectively off a mark of 129. That would be the main selection. The cover bet in here is on Sport and John, because I just think he's far too big a price. I mean, this horse, his last hurdle start, he went off at 5-1 for the Ballymore. Since then, he's won a Grade 1 over fences, jumped poorly the next twice, which includes the RSA, in which he wasn't disgraced. You know, and now he's in sort of a Mickey Mouse sort of handicap, really, compared to what he was spoken up to be, and some of the races he's ran in. He's only had 8 runs in his life. He's got a really good record fresh. He's won 4 times. 4 of his 5 wins have come off the back of a break. I just don't think he can jump fences, really.
Yeah.
All of his hurdle wins as well have come when they've been eased off. He's been eased down in the closing stages. So he's kind of either all in pressure or I'm going to do nothing today. But I just thought at 10-1, you've got to take a chance on him at 10-1, surely.
Yeah, off of that mark, as you say, back over hurdles here. I mean, it sort of just went a bit to pot, really, didn't it, over fences, but the ability is there. So, yeah, he is, as you say, we talked about Dostal Phil in our last race. I mean, in a roundabout way, they've got a similar profile to me, not just because of connections and such, like, because they just haven't quite fulfilled that potential that we know they have. So the cover bet, Sporting John for Daryl, but the main bet, Dragon Bones. Andrew, yourself, please.
Yeah, cracking race. There was 2 I respect the Dragon Bones Ballymilsey form, but at bigger prices, Kansas City Chief, the sprightly 12-year-old, who won the Pertemps qualifying here last time out. Not only winning it very easily at 20-1 and recording a fast time. And you only go back to last year, the 2020 Cheltenham Festival, finished 6th aside to Burley at 66-1 in the Pertemps final. Is £8 lower, despite having gone up £5 for that latest win. So no reason why he won't go well again. The only worry is that his jockey does like to go more towards the inside, and if that isn't the place to be, then that could be a disadvantage. Although, you know, she stayed more to the centre when winning here last time out. And the other one is On a Gathering Storm, Fergal O'Brien and Paddy Brennan. Well, we know what will happen if there is a bias. Paddy Brennan will spot it and will give up the outside rail to no one, which is a bit helpful. He's always a good jockey to have in your side round here when it's getting cut up on the inside. And I thought you needed to run behind Bardenstown Lad here last time out, finishing 3rd. And you look at his form last season after he graduated from Point to Points. he did better with racing. He needed his comeback run, and he won third and fourth time out. Maybe he'll still improve for this run, but he's 12s into 10s in the early betting. So I thought ONAGATHERINGSTORM and Kansas City Chief were the two to concentrate on.
And nice prices as well, around 12 to 1 and 10 to 1 for the pair of those. So yeah, ONAGATHERINGSTORM and Kansas City Chief then for Andrew. And I'm agreeing with Daryl though in this race with Dragon Bones here, because I have to admit, with Proskema at the head of the market here, following his run in the Grade 2 West Yorkshire Hurdle, I thought, okay, this horse has got a good handicap in him off of this mark. But to be honest, I wanted him to drop back down in trip for it, because the way he shaped to my eye at Wetherby over the 3-mile trip just suggested to me that he wanted to drop back down to really be capitalizing off of the mark. So I'm not overly keen on him back over 3 miles again here. For all I do think he is well handicapped to win a prize such as this. But because of those doubts, I'm siding with a horse who we know, as we've just alluded to, loves the trip, being Dragon Bones, who is making a handicap debut here. And as Daryl said, I still think that this looks a very fair mark of 132, because she is just so admirable. She looks to be getting better and maturing with her racing after showing enough quirks early on in her career. But she has an iron constitution, as shown over the spring, where it felt as if she ran every week when she was owned still by Ian Williams himself. But she's proved much better than those races she was winning, as shown when only undone by the Gamble horse from the John McConnell yard on her reappearance starting that novices hurdle over this course and distance last time out, pulling 10 lengths clear of the third horse. She will have learnt plenty from that experience. And for all this is it is a different test, I do fancy she can take the step up in grade in her stride. So
she's only been beaten. The twice she's been beaten has been both come on the back of long breaks as well.
Yeah.
Other than the unsea. Apart from that, she's unbeaten. I think she's improving her rate or not.
Yeah, same. I completely agree there. So I just think this marker 132, I don't think that, I hope it won't be hanging around for too long anyway, and she can just continue to rise through the ranks. So yes, really interesting race. And we're all taking on the favourite, even better. So we'll move on to the 325 at Cheltenham. This is an intermediate handicap hurdle. So just to explain, if you don't know these race conditions, sort of what an intermediate handicap hurdle is, this race itself is for 3-year-olds and over, rated 0 to 140, which prior to April 26, 2020, had not won a hurdle race. So essentially, it's like an intermediate chase, but for second season novices, but for hurdlers, which are likeable conditions, I think. But we also have plenty of unexposed runners in this race, Andrew. So who do you come down on the side of?
Yeah, this is one of the trickiest races we've got to look at today. But there's a horse that I'm interested in stepping up in trip, and that's the top weight Benson, who had an incredible season last year when he returned from wind surgery, won his first 3. And then watch the replay if you can of his last time out, Ascot 4th. That was back in December, 4th of 17, 5 to 1 joint favourite. I think I put him up as an each way bet that day, and he was about 200 yards behind turning in, and crikey knows how he managed to finish placed. Yeah. I thought as well he would actually run a race in the Supreme if he'd taken that route, but we didn't see him again. Now he's up in trip, he goes well fresh, he's had another wind operation. Most of his runs have taken place right-handed, but there's sort of, which is a bit of a concern that he just hasn't run left-handed since that Worcester defeat going back a few years. But I just thought he's 8 to 1, and I thought he's open to so much improvement. He could be a lot better than this grade. So he was where the lucky pin landed, but it's not a race that I want to get too involved in, to be fair.
Brilliant. Yeah, as you say, yeah. So lucky pin down for Benson there in the hopes that he can make this a winning return from quite a lengthy absence, but tricky race, Daryl.
Yeah, I like Benson too.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, I think this step up in trip's been on the cards for a long time for Benson. He's got some of the strongest form in the race. I mean, you go back to that Ascot run last December, Buzz was in the second that day. Belfast Banter was in 4th. He was in 5th. He was in 4th. They were the only 3 to come from well off the pace in that particular race. Mm-hmm. Buzz is £7 higher. Belfast Banter's £15 higher, and Benson is £1 lower. He clocked a good time as well at Sandown prior to that. I just think the step up in trip's been on the cards for a long time. He's got a good record fresh. Just repeating what Andrew said, really. But I think there should be enough pace on in here for him. Yeah, I can't see why he's such a big price at 8 to 1, really.
Yeah. No, as you say, the pair of you making very strong cases there for Benson. And I mean, these race conditions that I just touched on when talking about this race, I mean, they couldn't suit him any better, really, could they? This is sort of a perfect race for him to be sighting him out. So it looks a good bit of placing there by Dr. Richard Newland as well to cite this as his reappearance starts. So hopefully all is well with him, and both lads going for Benson there in the 325 at Cheltenham. The 350, then this is our final scheduled race to cover. We're rounding off the Cheltenham card, then in the 355 in the listed mares bumper. This is always a likeable race, similar to the juvenile hurdle that we talked about earlier on, though. This is a race where I'm just hoping to decide the mare bumper hierarchy with this race, because we have plenty of likeable winning performers turning up here as well. So hopefully we can establish the pecking order between these mares and fillies. Plenty of winners, as I say, in this lineup. But Daryl, how do you sort through this race?
I have no idea. This is difficult, isn't it? I'll tell you what you do. To find the winner of this race, you just back Fergal O'Brien, because he wins the last at Cheltenham, doesn't he, quite often?
Yeah.
I thought his Bonte at the top of the market looked pretty impressive last time at Cheltenham, beating this top dog. I thought that was a race that might end up working out quite well. His other one as well, Leading Theatre. This horse was really impressive at Worcester last time. Just did it on the bridle. Looked so pacey. The time figure backed up the performance as well. I think she was 44 and 48 lengths faster than the two mile hurdle races on the card.
Ooh, that's
you always allow for 4 or 5 seconds. She was 11 and 12 seconds faster. I thought that was really, really impressive. Connor Brace jumps on. Paddy's obviously on the first string, I would assume, at the top of the market. But yeah, I mean, it'd be a stab in the dark, really, because I don't know, but Leading Theatre would just be a tentative selection. It wouldn't be a betting race for me.
Yeah, I'd say it's difficult to really have an overly strong opinion with so many unknowns in this race, but Leading Theatre around 9-1 does look very interesting with those stats you just gave for that last time out performance. Andrew, do you have any stronger opinions on this race?
No, just looking at previous winners. Alan King's 2 from 3 in the race. I think Harry Fry's 2 from 3 as well. So that certainly brings in his Whiskey Express, who's had a wind operation since we last saw her. But I'll go for Where's Maud Gone, who won the first 2 and then ran 5th in the Good Mares bumper at Aintree, just finishing just behind Eileen Dover that day. And Laura Morgan's a trainer a great deal of time for, and I thought that she could perhaps justify that lofty Racing Post rating of 132.
Yeah, you say on Racing Post ratings, then she is bang up there, isn't she, in this race? So, Where's Maud Gone? It looks very interesting, and around a similar price as well as 9-1 as Leading Theatre. So both the lads giving you at least an each way play in this race if you didn't want to. Pardon?
Okay, if you look at the history of this race, every winner's been rated within 12 pounds of the top of the Racing Post ratings, apart from the Glancing Queen, who won it first time out. So, if you sort of lop off a 12 from her 132 rating, then there aren't that many who actually qualify. So that might help narrow the field down a little bit. But it's a bit of a minefield, as you say.
It is, yeah. So anything extra to help us sift through it is very, very welcome here. And Maud Gone Spirit does set the stat. Oh, Maud Gone Spirit. I mean, Where's Maud Gone? Even that's not running in this. Where's Maud Gone? Setting the standard there with the RPR. Certainly, so it looks very interesting. So I'm going to go back to you, Andrew, for anything else from Saturday from anywhere else, please.
I haven't had a chance to look yet, to be perfectly honest. So no is the very short answer.
Nope, but can catch up with any selections there, obviously in your column and on the website and on your social media when that is decided. Daryl, yourself, please.
One at 12.15 at Wetherby. I don't know the price. I've just actually seen the betting forecast. It's 7-4. I'm not interested, but this Thunder Rock is going to be favourite in this, and I think this horse wants deep ground and wants a lot further. I think Cobbler's Dream is the one to be on here. I thought he did remarkably well at Cheltenham behind Balco Saint when they went a right good clip. He's improving. I was hoping he was going to go in a handicap actually off his mark of 119, because I think he's better than that. So I would still back him in here if you could get something like 2-1, or if they come for the favourite, this Thunder Rock, who's an Ollie Murphy McNeil family horse. They tend to be over bet a lot of the time. But Cobbler's Dream, keep an eye on price for that one.
Yes, certainly. So that's in the 12.15 at Wetherby. So, Daryl, back to you for anything from Sunday's racing.
I can't believe we're not doing the Greatwood.
Take the floor. We just have no idea. Well, we sort of know what's turning up, but
it's wide open, this Greatwood.
Yeah.
I kind of didn't want to be backing a hold-up horse, really, because I tend to find that you want to be on the pace in this particular race. But I thought Marie's Rock was worth another chance. Yeah, I just thought that was much, much better from her last time at Wetherby behind Molly Holly's wishes. I didn't think Sean Bowen gave her too much of a hard time. I thought it was just a little step back in the right direction. This mark of 135 is quite steep for her, but I can just see her tanking through this particular race if they go hard. I can see her jumping the last and quickly. I can see it in my head now. Yeah. But I think she's got a good chance. I don't think there's anything this year that's potentially thrown in other than the favourite, who could be No Ordinary Joe. But you're taking a bit of a risk, I think, with him. I know I've heard whispers that they thought quite a bit of this horse last year. He's not really shown that sort of form to be thrown in off a mark of 133. It could yet be anything, of course. I just wanted to take a chance on the other one, Marie's Rock. So, but that was about it for Sunday at the minute.
As soon as you were starting to say, I'm not sure about a hold-up form, I was like, oh no, he's going to put me right off of Marie's Rock in this. Thank God you brought that back around, hoping for the good pace to aim at. So yes, Andrew, do you have any opinions in the Greatwood at all, or anything else from Sunday?
Not in the Greatwood as of yet, but in the Schlur, a word that's very enjoyable to say, the 220. Put the kettle on, 4 from 4 at Cheltenham. I just love this mare. She just seemed to be underrated, despite having won an Arkle and the Queen Mother Champion Chase. And in the last race, the bumper, Auchan Risque really caught the eye, finishing 4th in the bumper at the October meeting here. They went pretty hard up front that day, set it up for the closers, and he was more towards the inside rail. He was up with the pace. The winner, the winner's runner-up and third all came wide, and I'm from off the pace. So Chris Gordon's Auchan Risque, very interesting in that finale.
Yeah, as you say, in the 4 o'clock there at Cheltenham, Auchan Risk, interesting in the bumper. And just because I want to say again in the Schlur chase at 220 at Cheltenham, put the kettle on, continues to be underestimated with that course and distance record. Unbeaten, isn't she, over this course and distance from the 4 starts so far, to be doing exactly what she does best over this course and distance again in the 220 at Cheltenham. So, Andrew, back to you, please, for your nap of the weekend.
I'll go Strictlyadancer in that 105, the Amateur Riders Handicap Chase at Cheltenham. But it's a day when it's hard to be, I'm finding it hard to be very confident about anything, to be honest.
Yeah, I was going to say, so you go for the Amateur Jockeys Handicap Chase. Fair play for that. Yeah, Strictlyadancer there in the 105 at Cheltenham. Daryl, your nap, please.
Dragon Bones in the 250 at Cheltenham. Just think she's so well handicapped off mark 132.
Yeah, I was so tempted to go for Dragon Bones as well in the 250 at Cheltenham, but I will allow you with Dragon Bones as your nap. And instead, because it is a tricky day, I'm going to go for a big play there at Manofthemountain at 25-1 current time of recording in the 215 at Cheltenham. Because why not side with something in the Paddy Power Gold Cup for a nap? Because it is that kind of day. So that is all of us covered, all of the races at Cheltenham, as well as a few pointers towards the Sunday at Cheltenham as well. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Hopefully you enjoyed the action then this weekend. Big thank you to our sponsor, SBK, as well as the lads for all of their hard work yet again. And we will catch up with you next week.